Happy Easter to you all. We are still ending the octave of Easter. And today, the Mother Church reminds of us that this being the second Sunday of Easter, it is also the Divine Mercy Sunday, where we reflect on God's endless mercy. And that is why we just sang or chanted continuously in the Psalm 118 that give thanks to the Lord, for He is good. Give thanks to the Lord, for He is good. Indeed, God's mercy is great. It is immense. You cannot measure it. And you know, when you look at the image that is on the wall, that was prepared by some kind and gracious women who spend their morning here trying to make, this place look somehow different. This image is not only there as a decoration. As you see, there is a reflection of water from Jesus' side. There is also a reflection of blood. And you and I somehow understand that the water that came from Jesus' side, it is this water that somehow we get through our baptism. The water that washes away our iniquities. The water that makes us a new creation. And we also look at the blood. It's the blood that purges you and I from our own sinfulness. And so we can see how amazing our God is. How merciful our God is. And so it is taking us back from the first reading. We hear the apostles here that they were filled with such great love. And they had compassion for each other. That even though they lived in a community, nobody owned anything in that community. Everything belonged to the other. What a beautiful family of disciples. And we are not told that these disciples, they were brothers. They were just called, each one among them from their own walks of life. Some of them were fishermen. Some of them were tax collectors. You can imagine a mixture of all these characters. And they lived together. That even those who had possessions, after selling it, they brought all the monies into the house of God. They sold whatever they had and brought it, and it was shared by everyone. Can we make our family so shineful, so lightful, that we share whatever we have? What a joyful family our families could be if we all wait for each other, sometimes to have a meal together, than someone having their own meal at their own every time, at their own times, distinct times. What a joy if we all pray together as a family, come together and show compassion to each other. That when we share a meal, we know that John has gotten a little meal and we can add it up to match with the meal that we have placed in our plate. This is what Jesus is trying to teach us today. That we must have compassion. We must show mercy to each other. And in the second reading, we hear from the first letter of St. Peter, we hear of this Jesus, the only Son of God, who have been sent down here on earth because of you and I, so that He may rescue us from our own sinfulness, from our own wickedness. If you and I realize that we were lost at a certain manner, we will come into terms where we accept other persons, even when they have done great mistakes. That we will accept them in our great mercies that God has shown us. And it is only when you come into your own terms and you realize that pastor the other day who just wake up in the morning and killed his entire family. And you know, questions arose. How come that this was a man of God and he has ended up doing this kind of action, killing his family? He wiped out his wife and his children. And you know, people are left with the questions, and this tells you that out of God's grace, you are merely nothing. I am merely nothing. It is God's grace that He just sang that sustains you and I to focus on God, to focus on His mercies, to be the person that you are today. If it was not God, you could be the one somehow begging in the streets. You could be the one somehow in the prison out there. And as you know, we are told that a thief is that who is not caught. You know, that those who are caught, sometimes those who are in prison, some of them are better than we, somehow. And this could be, it is ordinary that you and I have not been caught. This happens a lot, but many times we are quick to judge others in their own failures, in their own weaknesses. That is what we see a lot. And many times we forget to look into the depths of our heart to see that we ourselves, it is God's mercies that has continually lifted us into that level that we are. We could be sleeping at this moment, but somehow God's mercy has beaten you and I, has hit you and I, that here this morning we are here worshiping God. We could have joined the morning procession at Carnival, but we have decided to come into the house of God. Isn't it this marvelous? Yes, it is marvelous indeed. And I know some of us are into that mood and into that spirit. But God's Spirit has invited you, has inspired you to come into the house of God. In the Gospel reading, we hear that after Jesus' death, the disciples were gathered into this one upper room where they used to gather for their daily meetings. And here they had gathered filled with great fear because their master, whom they trusted that would come to rescue them, now he is gone. He is no longer with them. And so they were filled with so much fear. And they were also filled with so much fear because some of them had denied Jesus. Think of Peter. And that is why, even after Jesus comes, some of them still do not believe he is the one, like Thomas. Thomas is still doubting, is this the Lord? And Thomas wants to touch the sides of Jesus where the marks were to make sure where the spear had pierced, there is a wound. Thomas wants to feel the scars of Jesus' hands, the palms of his hands. Thomas wants to feel, to make sure that this is the same Jesus who was our master. And there is a very amazing thing that appears here, that Jesus, instead of coming to condemn his disciples, because you know, when Jesus was about to die on the cross, at the foot of the cross, the persons who remained there, it was only Mary and the little disciple John. All others ran away. They ran away, all these big men. They walked away. The persons who remained there courageously, it was a woman, Mary. And even after his resurrection, the very first persons who recognized the resurrection of Jesus were the women. And now here, these disciples are waiting for the women to tell them the good news. Is the master judging me because we left him hanging on the cross? What were the last words that Jesus said when he was hanging on the cross? It is the women who are trying to explain to the you condemn yourself. Jesus, the fount of mercy, the fountain of love, he has come so that you and I may have life and life eternal. And so, when you feel yourself down, when you feel yourself rejected, when you feel yourself miserable, know that God's mercy is endless. Know that God's mercy is immeasurable. Always come to God and seek that mercy. And you have witnessed, even in our community here at Stella Maris, especially those who showed up on the Good Friday, you had great testimonies of persons who have received God's mercy. And here they were here courageously telling us, this is the God that I worship today. It is a God who have taken me from afar. It is God who have journeyed with me. When you realize what God has done for you, then you realize you have a room not for hate. Because Mother Teresa reminds us that if you hate, you have no room for love. If you hate, there is no room for love. We are being encouraged today and invited today as we celebrate this Divine Mercy Sunday to focus on the mercy of God that is immense in our homes, in our families, in our hearts, and that this mercy will be spreading to others as we go for a mission where you and I are going to proclaim that Jesus Christ is risen from the dead. And how will some people be able to realize that Jesus Christ is risen from the dead from you and I? Is by the way we carry out ourselves. If we forgive others, God will continually also forgive us. Show mercy, show mercy, as the mercy of God has been shown to you. Christ is giving you peace. Why should you give others hatred? Why should you show others an unforgiving spirit? Christ has shown us mercy. Let us give the same mercy to our children, to our neighbors, and even to those persons who are very, very difficult to deal with. We can show them a little love. We can show them mercy, because mercy has been shown to you and I. May the mighty God bless you as we reflect on today's reading in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
I love you, Lord, for your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your. From the moment I wake up, before I lay my head, I will sing of your goodness, O God. All my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of your goodness, O God. I love your voice, you were there through the fire and darkest night. You were close like no other. I know you as my Father, I know you as my friend, and I will sing of your goodness, my God. All my life you have been faithful, and all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, for I will sing of your goodness, O God.